All right, kids, today we're going to be reviewing SOL 8.14, which is when you have to match tables or ordered pairs or an equation with a graph or maybe uh, a table with an equation or whatnot. And these were pretty much mimic SOL questions if they're not actual SOL questions. So follow along as we go over this. Okay. So tables can also be written as ordered pairs. So what I mean by that is you can draw, good golly, I'm a newbie here, kiddos. But you can draw your parentheses and you can put as the X is going to be a 2 and the Y is going to be a 0. Okay. Your domain X, range Y. Okay. Your X is going to be 0 here. And your Y is going to be -4, okay? So you're basically making a little table and turning it into ordered pairs. Then you go on your graph and you see if those points match. 2, 0, okay? Let's start with A. I go over 2 and up 0, okay? And plot the point. That is not on this line, and so that graph is not correct. I go to B. I go over 2 and up 0, and that point is on the line. So a lot of people in their SOL stopped here. They said, yep, got the point, checked the answer, and moved on. But you also have to check that next 0, -4 as well. Because if you go to 0 and down to -4 and plot your point, that point is not on the graph. So that is not a solution. If you go to C, 2 to 0, you go over 2 and up 0. That point is on the graph. If you go to 0 and down -4, 0 down to -4, that point is also on the graph. Okay, so that is the answer that you're looking for. Okay, just to be safe, always check the other one. 2, 0, not on the graph. This is not a solution. Okay. Now, sometimes you're not given a table, but you're given an equation. And in this situation, you make up a little table of your own. And you say, okay, I'm going to put x's into the equation for x right here. And I'm hoping I get a y that matches the graph. So let's say I picked a 0. And I'm making these numbers up. I'm picking small numbers that, I can see 0 through 5 here. I'm going to pick a small number like 0. I'm going to put it in for x. So -2, I'm copying this equation. Instead of x, I'm going to put a 0, okay? And then -1. -2 times 0 is 0 minus 1. So 0 minus 1 is -1, okay? And I'm going to pick a second point. Maybe I'm going to put a 2 into the equation, okay? So if I have -2, I'm copying this right here, but instead of x, I'm going to put a 2 because I'm saying x is 2. Okay, -2 times 2 minus 1. -2 times 2 is -4, and -4 minus 1, -4 minus 1 is -5. So now I have to go and check and see if x is 0, y is going to be -1. If x is 0, y is -1. That point works. Okay, so far I'm good. And if x is 2, y is going to be -5. So go over 2, down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and kabam, A is the answer. Now if I take my other points, 0, -1, this graph The points there, the lines there doesn't match up. Go to 0, -1 here, doesn't match up. And 0 down to -1, it's close to the line, but it's not on the line, it doesn't match. And we're back to tables, but this time we have lines and just points on a graph, okay? So again, remember that this is the same, you got an X column and a Y column, and in your coordinate points, you have an X point, so -2, that's your X, and you also have a Y, -1, okay? Table format, ordered pair format, okay? So let's look, -2, -1. I go down over to -2 and down to -1. That point is on the graph, okay? What about 1, 2? I go over 1, I go up 2. That point is on the graph, okay? I go over 4 and up 3 because my X is 4. My Y is 3. It's not on the graph. On your SOL, check every single point because this was not on the graph, okay? Let's check this one. B, I go over -2, go down to -1. That is on the graph, okay? Then my X, I'm going to go over 1 and then up 2. Up 1, up 2, plot the point. It's not on the line, so I'm crossing that out. Go over to C. Let me use red this time. -2 to -1. Not a point. Cross that out. Okay. Let's see. -2, -1. That works. There's that point right there. 1, 2. I go over 1, up 2. That works. And then I go over 4. That's my X. And up 3. Over 4, up 3. That works. So in this case, the correct answer is D. Okay. It's an amazing circle. Okay. Now we have an equation and we have graphs and a table. So we have to remember two things. Okay. Our equation is y equals x minus 1. So if I put a 0 in for x, 0 minus 1, I'm hoping I get 1. So let's see if that's true. 0 minus 1. A lot of people go, oh, 1, got it, check. But 0 minus 1 is -1, okay? That equals -1. So when I put a 0 in for x, my y is going to be -1. This does not work, okay? B, if I put a 3 in for x, because it's in the x column, y equals 3 minus 1. In this situation, 3 minus 1 is 2. So far, we're on a good track, okay? Now, let's put in a 6. 6 minus 1. 6 minus 1 is 5. This says that it would be 4, so that is not correct. It's always important to go through each point on your SOL so that you don't make an error. A lot of people, like 47% of people just selected this because it had this as your solution, okay? But they didn't go to the second one, okay? Well, this is a table. So here, a graph. Here you make a table, okay? X, Y. Your equation is y equals x minus 1. So let's say if I put a 0 in for x, 0 minus 1 is -1. And then let's say I put a 2 in for x. Okay? 2 minus 1 is 1. So let me go ahead and look. 0, -1. That's not on my graph. That doesn't work. Okay. Let's check this one. 0, -1. Okay, that point works. And then 2, 1. Over 2 up 1. Okay. The correct answer is D. Okay. Now we have a different type of, we have the equation with the table. Okay. So y equals 2/3 x. So that's the same. It's just written funky. But that's 2 over 3x. Okay. Same thing. Minus 6. So you go ahead and you're going to put that in. Let's check this table. If I take 2/3 and I put a 0 in for x, so it's going to be 2/3 times 0 minus 6. See what I get? 2/3 times 0 is 0, and 0 minus 6 is -6. So this works. Okay. Then I'm going to do 2/3, and I'm going to multiply it. Instead of x, I'm going to put a 9 that's in the x column. 2/3 times 9. And if you use your calculator, okay, 2 divided by 3, fractions are just division, 2 divided by 3, times 9 equals 6, and then 6 minus 6 gives you 0. This says it'll give you 6, so this isn't the equation we're looking for. Okay, let's move on to this one. If I do 2/3, so I put a 2/3, I times it by -3, because that's what it says my x is, and subtract 6. Let's see what I get. Okay, 2 divided by 3, and then I'm going to multiply it by -3. And that would give me -2. I didn't put it in my calculator, but it would be -2. And -2 minus 6 is -8. Okay, -2 minus 6 is -8. Okay, so far we're on a good track here. Then 2/3 times 6 minus 6. And we're hoping that when we do that, we put the 6 in for x, we're going to get a -2. So let's see if that works. Okay. And I don't know what happened here. This is supposed to be 3, kids. Okay. 2 divided by 3 times 6 is 4, minus 6 is -2. That also works. So in this case, your answer is C. Okay. Here again, refreshing us back to number 1, you have a table, you have graphs and points. Okay. We have done that right there, and we got D. So I just wanted to remind you, you can make sure that you match the points up with the line and with the points here. And our last problem is this one. And this one was on the SOL, but people selected one choice. It said identify each representation of this relationship, meaning you could pick more than one, okay? So let's look at this. -2, 2. Over 2, up 2, okay? That works. 4, negative 1. I go over 4 down to negative 1. That works. Go over 8 down negative 3. Over 8 down 3. That works. So a lot of people said, yep, got my answer, and they moved on. But the question says identify each, so it can be more than one. So now here's your equation, y equals negative 1/2 x plus 1. You put in a negative 2 for x, you're hoping to get a 2 for y. So let's check that out. Negative 1/2. Again, instead of x, I'm going to put the negative 2. It's in the domain, the x column. Okay, so negative 2. And then I'm going to add 1. And let's see what I get. There's my calculator here. Negative 1/2 times negative 2. Oh, golly. Okay, 1 divided by 2 times 2 plus 1. I get 2. Okay? My calculator, I can't figure out how to put a negative in it. But negative times a negative is a positive. So that works. Then negative 1/2 times 4 plus 1. Okay? So again, negative 1/2. You get negative 2. I didn't put the negative in my calculator. Negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. Okay? So that works. And then negative 1/2 times 8 plus 1 will give you negative 3. Okay, that'll work as well. Now, so we'll circle that one. Oh, my cat just jumped up on my... Good golly. Look, this is what life is like with a cat. She decided to participate. Okay, this one says the x-coordinate is 4 more than the y-coordinate. So 8, negative 3. That is not, the x is not 4 more than negative 3. That's significantly different. So cross that out. Okay. Well, kiddos, that concludes it. Thanks. Wow, I can't write in cursive, but we all knew that. Have a good one.